Hey, what's up everybody? Michael here and welcome back to PlayStation Homebrew News. So we recently had a PS5 WebKit that 12.00 users with Poopsploit have been enjoying, and we're starting to see the enhancements the community's been building to make this easier to run and much more. So let's just go ahead and jump straight into it. First up is the PS5 WebKit Autoloader from etaHEN. This is a launcher that detects your PS5 firmware, chooses a compatible public WebKit exploit path, and then helps load the next part of your homebrew setup. It has now reached version 0.3.0 and is being described as the first stable release. Now, what I like about this project is that it detects the console firmware and then it selects the appropriate exploit path automatically. So those of you that are on firmwares 1.00 through 5.50, it uses UMTX2, and for those of you on 9.00 through 12.00, it uses SlopKit. Now it also adds local ELF loading and a safer offline cache. In practical terms, once you have these set up working, you aren't dependent on a remote host staying online every time you want to use it. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with the actual exploit itself, but it does make the WebKit exploit that we have much easier to launch and use. Next up, we have a unified WebKit exploit PKG, and what we can see here is that this project packages the unified WebKit userland exploit as an installable PKG, giving supported systems an app-based entry point instead of using the browser host workflow. So instead of opening the user guide and dealing with the DNS-based host, you just install the package and launch it like a normal app. The supported firmware ranges line up with the two public paths we just talked about, 1.00 through 5.50 and then 9.00 through 12.00. So if you already have this working like you want it, you may not need to change it, but if you want a simpler way to start the WebKit side of the chain, then definitely check this one out. Next up, PS5 Payload Manager is an on-console interface for organizing and launching payloads without sending each one manually. It has received a smaller update to version 0.5.1. The visible additions are Arabic and Thai language support, along with the ability to install the update from inside the application. You don't need to replace the ELF manually, and your existing configuration can stay in place. And so Payload Manager has now become one of those crucial applications that those of us on a jailbroken PlayStation 5 use, so it's great to see this progressing over time. So again, if you already use it, then it's just going to be a straightforward update. Now we have a PlayStation 5 Save Mounter by Null Pointer, and this is a tool that mounts protected game save data so Homebrew can access it for tasks such as backing up, transferring, or modifying supported saves. It has reached version 2.0, and this is a substantial rewrite. So the project now supports all currently jailbreakable PS5 systems and adds native PS5 game save support. It also uses a rewritten ELF workflow and pulls the game list from app.db, so selecting the title you want to work with should be much cleaner. It also expands compatibility, improves the workflow, and gives PS5 users something they can actually take advantage of today. And I'll also mention that you should check out Garlic Saves as another PS5 and PS4 save mounter tool as well. EchoStretch released kstuff 1.10. This tool is the lightweight PS5 kernel payload layer that enables many familiar homebrew applications to run. So it has moved to version 1.10 with support covering PlayStation 5 firmware 3.00 through 12.70. So the focus here is stability and performance rather than a long list of features, as this is just a quick update, and if your setup depends on kstuff-lite, then you might as well go ahead and update to this version. It seems that since the latest public etaHEN release is version 2.5b from December of 2025, that two others have decided to fork the project and create new versions of their own. So both versions take the etaHEN base and turns it into a new all-in-one package with several tools. So I noticed that it does come with kstuff, ShadowMountPlus, FTP, PS5 debug, and a few other things. It also supports plugins that can load globally or only when a particular game starts. Now, if you want to know my opinion, I think it probably would have been better to contribute these changes back through a pull request to Lightning Mod's original etaHEN repository. That could have kept more of the work together instead of splitting it across separate hen projects. The developers may have different goals for these projects, but from a user perspective, one shared project would have been easier to follow. Now, PIZZA-HEN is still at version 0.1, so I expect the feature set and the setup to keep changing, but it is already an example of what happens when you open source your project. Now, the other etaHEN fork is OnionHEN, an all-in-one PS5 homebrew environment focused on making the etaHEN base more stable on higher firmware. There is a video demonstration of it running on a PlayStation 5. In the video, you can see the startup process, the welcome message, and the toolbox interface. The stated focus is improved stability on higher firmware, and the plan is to release the source once the project is released. Now, note there, the plan is to release the source code once it is released. And so that could obviously be a red flag. So there isn't a public download attached to this, so I would treat this as a progress update rather than a release. Still, seeing it actually run on the console gives us a better idea of what it will do. And so there you have it. We have PIZZA-HEN and OnionHEN. I guess we will have other types of hens in the future. Okay, so over on the PS4 side, the PS4 SUID Scanner is a security research project that catalogs privileged set user ID binaries and examines them for useful vulnerabilities. It now has a full Stage 2 implementation for firmware 13.04. Now, SUID stands for Set User ID. This latest work adds persistence read and write capability, along with new return-oriented programming work for that firmware. So if you like to follow this sort of PlayStation 4 research out in the public, this is probably one of the better repos to take a look at because the work is being documented as it develops. We have another update to SaveSyncPSPC, which is a conversion and synchronization tool for moving supported save data between PC and PlayStation versions of the same game. It has expanded again, this time with more Resident Evil support. The supported list now includes Resident Evil 3, 4, 7, Village, and Requiem. The update also improves path and download handling, while the game profiles are being moved into a separate project called SaveSync Engine. Each title still needs its own compatibility work, so this is not a universal converter for every game. What I like here is that the project keeps growing around games people actually play across multiple platforms. The separate engine should also make it easier to add and maintain more profiles without packaging everything into one application. Now, I've been covering this one for a while on the channel, and definitely great for those of us that likes to take our PC saves and move them over to our PlayStation. So ShadowMountPlus is a PS5 utility for mounting game images. It has reached version 1.7 Alpha 6, and this release fixes two very practical problems. First, it corrects an issue with mounting exFAT images on ext1. It also changes the unmount process when a game closes, which should help prevent crashes. And do keep in mind that this is still labeled as an unstable alpha test, so use at your own risk. SharpProspero is a C# software development kit and toolkit for building native PlayStation 5 Homebrew. It's received another large update aimed at PS5 development. This commit includes important payload fixes, gives the Homebrew template root access, and expands the available APIs for areas such as audio, input, storage, and system functions. If you're a C# developer like me, you definitely want to check this one out. For the PS5 emulator roundup, Kitty, PS5, and SharpEmu are experimental projects attempting to run PS5 software on a PC. etaPSS5 continues to publish automated builds, and the August 11 build includes more GPU, texture, and subsystem fixes. SharpEmu is also continuing its source development with ongoing compatibility and stability work. Demon's Souls Remake and Dead Cells are two of the titles being used as progress indicators. Both of these, again, are experimental, and I'll be monitoring them in the future. Next up, we have Chunky Station 4, an experimental PS4 emulator that translates console graphics and system behavior for a PC. The newest work adds experimental native resolution scaling through Vulkan. There are also improvements to shader control flow tracking, and development has continued beyond the earlier Alpha 2 release. Resolution scaling is the headline feature because it can eventually give users more control over image quality and performance. Right now, though, the word experimental is doing some work. Still, Chunky Station 4 is definitely a project worth checking out. The Y2JB Autoloader packages the YouTube app userland entry point into a working jailbreak chain. It has reached version 0.9.1 and adds support for YouTube application version 01.009.253. This release also updates ElfLoader and the unified autoloader, and it bundles a new payload manager. The YouTube support is intended for the Y2JB userland path, including newer firmware situations where the application version matters. To close out the PlayStation portion, here are the newest game listings for jailbroken users. On the PlayStation 5 side, the list includes Romance of the Three Kingdoms 8 Remake, Master Detective Archives, Red Matter, and several others that you can see on screen. The PS4 side includes Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, and then Blood Omen 2, and then much more. So if you do have a PSVR 2, I'd highly recommend checking out Red Matter. Okay, so that is going to do it for this episode. Now I want to hear from you. Which PS5 Homebrew release should I test next? The WebKit Autoloader, the Unified WebKit package, or one of those crazy etaHEN forks? Leave your pick in the comments. And if this episode helped you, please leave a like and subscribe for more PlayStation Homebrew news. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Michael, out!